So whenever you're ready, we are ready.
Okay. So how do you think Kaya and parts of Kaya's story can inspire girls and women of today?
Well, yeah, I think there's many aspects of Kaya that I found very, very inspiring. I think she's a very complicated person. She isn't one thing and she can't be pigeonholed. You know, she's, in the one sense, she's very, very strong and she's very resilient and brave, but she's also very curious and gentle and kind. And I think that is very inspiring to see women that are, you know, layered and complicated. And, you know, I think just to see somebody thrive and survive in this environment is really exciting.
So at one point, Chase says to Kaya, any other man would have tried to change you, to fix you, implying that Kaya is broken and in need of changing. What advice would you give to younger women who feel like they need to change to be accepted in society?
I think it's a really understandable feeling, and one that we all experience, especially young women, of feeling that we have to kind of fit ourselves or make ourselves smaller, or just to put ourselves in a box. And I think it's just about trying to shake that off and realise that you can be yourself completely and be in your power and not feel the need to make yourself smaller for anyone else. But it takes confidence and practice, you know.
On top of that, what advice would you give to men who think they can change and fix women?
I hope the more that we start to see women in lead roles, you know, on this film, all of our heads of department were women. So we had a female DOP, female exec producers, you know, female lead and script writer and director. And I've been acting in this industry since I was 17, and I'd never been on a job where the majority of, you know, people in lead positions were women. And it was so exciting for me to see that. And I think actually seeing that kind of makes you believe actually you could potentially do something that, you know, be in a lead role. I was like, oh, maybe I could direct. And I think it's the same for young boys and men too. The more we see women command that space and belong there, the more it becomes the norm, and the more you know, it's not something that, you know, gender doesn't come into it. It's about who's best for the job and things like that.
Do you believe that Kaya is a feminist, and what about you? Are you a feminist?
I certainly am, yes. And I think Kaya, she's very resilient despite the kind of hardships that she comes across. She survives through them, and I think it's such an admirable quality, but it's also a very human one. I think we're very good at surviving through things and picking ourselves back up again. And so, yeah, you know, she doesn't, you know, she learns, I guess, from the marsh and from the environment that she lives in. And I think, you know, that the environment that she and sort of the species that she observes, sort of gender doesn't come into it. And so, you know, it's not something that she's aware of, and it's only when she sort of interacts with the people in the town that she realises that because she's a young woman, people view her differently or judge her differently. Yeah.
For you, what does it mean to be a feminist?
I think it means that you want, you know, everyone to be treated equally, and that you want, you know, women to be treated equally to men, and that, you know, that there is no sort of, that gender just doesn't come into it when it comes to anything.
Yeah, it shouldn't stop people
from
being able to grow and become the person that they want to be.
Completely.
The film explores like really hard issues like domestic violence and sexual assault. At one point, Kaya explains why she won't report Chase to the police. It's such a powerful scene. She says that she'll have to go to the sheriff and explain what's happened, and the town will accuse her of whoring and trying to get money from the parents. A lot of victims of sexual assault and domestic abuse often don't come forward. How big of a problem do you think this is today?
I think it's a huge problem, and I think it's, you know, sort of, it's such a simple thing that she says, but it's so profound, and it really, you know, we really understand what she means when she says, you know, they're never going to believe her, you know. And I think it's really important that we, you know, see stories more where women are able to come forward and they are believed, and they, you know, and there's a confidence there that the right will be wrong, the wrong will be righted. So yeah, and I think really Kaya does just put that so well, and there is just an understanding between her and Jumpin in that scene that, you know, he knows exactly what she's saying, and so yes, I think it's a huge problem.
Yeah. Men shouldn't be allowed to get away with it, and that by fighting back, she is just able to get the power back.
Yeah, no, you're so right, totally. Yeah. And I think that's something that's interesting. You know, the story is a lot about, I think, because Kaya, her experience with the world is the one that she's watched through the natural world, and, you know, partly the story is kind of about how sometimes the laws of sort of nature are actually fairer than the laws that we live by in society, and you know, she says there's no dark side to nature, just inventive ways to endure and to survive. And so, you know, I think you're so right when we see that kind of dynamic and the fact that she brings it back and that she's never defined by a man. She's defined by, by her career and by her survival and her resilience. And I think that's so important to keep seeing.
I'm at the Brit School, and
I had loads of friends at the Brit. Oh, that's so cool.
and I work on the behind the scenes, so I work with a lot of actors and actresses, and I was wondering what advice you'd give to the young girls who want to kind of break into the industry.
Well, my advice would be, you know, if you love it enough, I would say just, you know, I joined the National Youth Theatre. I had loads of friends at the Brit School, so, you know, doing as much sort of like watching of theatre and watching of film and TV and consuming as much of the craft as you can is really helpful. It definitely, I always feel like I'm a better actor when I've watched a brilliant stage play, because you can learn so much by absorbing the choices of a different actor and being like, oh, that's really cool that they were so free in their body. And I would just say, like, you know, I had so many years of just like, of auditioning and not getting parts, but just knowing that what's for you won't pass you by and the right thing will come your way. And it's just about really just sticking at it and believing in yourself and enjoying the process, you know, and thinking of every audition and every opportunity as just a chance to perform, you know.